Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be covering the basics of the Italian, and the reason why we're doing this, of course, we've been monitoring your games over the past couple of weeks and we see pretty much the same pattern in the way you play, and it's really not the right way to play the Italian. So most of the games that we see, white starts with e4, black goes e5, and then after knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5. The games here start going wrong. White goes knight c3, black goes knight f6, and d3, and black goes d6. Now, you look at this position. This position is not the most active position that you are aiming for as a player, as a junior player playing a tournament where you're trying to win. The position is blocked. You don't really get the results that you want. Your opponent is not being pressed, is not being pushed. It's equal. It can take a long time to beat even the worst player here because things are so solid. Also, it's probably boring. You need something that's a little bit more active, that's gonna challenge your opponent in playing. Most people who get into this position, they don't know that in openings, usually we have what we call a plan A. A plan A is something that we are trying to accomplish in any given game. When white plays e4, his hope is to play e5. The same for black. If he plays e5, his hope is to play d5. That's why you see, if your opponent goes e6, immediately you go d4. You get what we call plan A in action. If your opponent goes g6, you go d4. Again, getting what we call plan A into place. So, when an opponent goes e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, and you go knight c3, immediately it shows that you have given up on plan A. You've given up on executing plan A, and it's not going to happen. This is not what we want. I don't think anyone wants to play like this in the majority of occasions. So knowing that this can happen, you need to know two great ways to avoid this scenario, which lead to open, exciting games. So let's look at plan A. So here white goes e4, after e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop c4, bishop c5, and here white goes c3 with the idea of playing d4. This is the main line of the Giuoco Piano. The idea, the Giuoco Piano is the same opening which we call the Italian opening. So the idea is to play d4. And after, let's say, pawn takes on d4, to put our knight on c3. This is what we are going for. Then you have your old-fashioned center and good prospects for a quick attack down the center or on the king side. This is what we call plan A. Black can also use this time to sort of challenge e4 because it's not protected, and he's trying to pretty much upset your plan to a certain extent. Now, the second idea of being able to execute this plan A goes about as follows. After e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, white goes b4. Now, this way, this is called the Evans Gambit. Used to be referred to as the gift of the gods. The idea is that after bishop takes b4, c3, the bishop goes to c5. Now you're able to, with force, put your plan. You've invested a pawn as a sacrifice to get this position, but this position is dangerous for both sides. So it's not one way. But at your age group, I would say it's much more promising for white than it is for black, because black needs to be very accurate in defense. If you're playing an experienced player who knows what he's doing here, you're not going to really get a chance to get huge attack or advantage. But if you're playing your average player, this is a very good position to try and get a full point out of. So before going further, we need to know that, okay, first we are going to go over the ideas and maybe traps and some variations. So what we need to check is if everyone knows how we can get to this position. So we'll first check if you recall how to play the position. So let's put it as a quiz to get to the first plan. Let's see how many people can do it. This is our first quiz. You've got just a minute to complete it. It's a series of moves. Let's see if you can do it. Start with how we play this opening. Well done, Captain Bet. Well done, Shoni Boy. Chess Dancer. Well done, Ruhan. Well done, Yanko. Well done, Crazy Fish, Didmas, Boxted. I'm not sure where you guys are making a mistake here in the first one, because there was a first plan. Okay, some of you might not have been in when you first tested the first plan. Okay, a lot of people get it correct. Okay, good. So the next exercise is how we get the Evans Gambit. The Evans Gambit, that's what we're testing now. Odan Kalan, Chess Dancer, Matthew O, Yanko, you, Tayden, Herogad, Ewan, Old Crush. Very good. So yeah, this is how we get to it. Now we need to get to the basic ideas. Okay, so after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, the most defining moment is when you put your bishop here. The bishop attacks the weakest point on f7, and your next plan is to play c3 and d4, getting into plan A like we spoke about. You want to develop your pieces rapidly, as quickly as you can, and you want to bring your rook to e1 to participate in opening lines in the center if you've got a lead in development. And you want to keep the opponent's pieces from settling on the central lines. So usually we say don't make time wasting pawn moves like h3 and vice versa for black, h6, and play e4, e5 as quickly as you can, attacking the knight on f6. The knight has to move, so you don't give black a chance to catch up in development. And you may have also removed a very important defender, as you will see in the ideas. Let's say, for instance, here, bishop c4, bishop c5, c3, knight f6, d4. And there's a line here where white plays e5, immediately sort of upsetting black. Here, a lot of people make mistakes. Some people play knight here, some people play knight here. Any knight move here is wrong. The only correct move is to play d5 here. And people who play white in this position, they know exactly what to do and stuff like that. But, I mean, their job is usually easy because people mess up in this position. This is why I want you to really focus on knowing what you're doing in these positions. So e4, e5 is usually a very good move, which is very difficult to meet for someone who's never actually looked at the lines. So, because pawns are obviously the sort of smallest attacking unit on the board, every piece you attack normally is to run away. So you have to take advantage of this. So most of the time in this setup, you usually catch black in the center and usually attack the king side. Usually, only the Evans Gambit, the Mola attack, and the Giocco Piano are fast enough to catch the king in the middle. Most openings, white can escape, black can escape from the center. If your attack doesn't come about, fast development and seizing central files may give you an advantage anyway in the endgame, because the basic layout is similar for both sides. Some of the ideas apply to playing black also. In addition, black should strive for rapid development. You should try to castle as quickly as possible, and this counter with d5 is very important in this opening. So black should play for a counter attack on the king side or an endgame advantage first. So let's look at an example, an actual example of a game and how this opening normally goes. So this game is a game that was played in 1990. White goes e4, black goes e5, after knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, and here white goes b4. So black takes and white goes c3, bishop c5. I think personally that the best way to meet this c3 idea is to just go bishop e7 and after d4 to play knight a5. This is really the best defense, and after bishop e2 maybe to just simply go what is the idea here? I think it's d6, and this is playable. So here bishop c5 just invites trouble. In this particular game, white castled. Normally they play d4 here. Yeah, bishop d6 is also an idea. It's also an idea. Castles, and black wins d6, and after d4, pawn takes on d4, c takes d4. We have this position where black is a pawn up, but white's lead in development is significant, and this position is a little bit challenging to play. Black played bishop b6 and now rook e1, adding more force in the center, and this rook is looking at the king, so black goes bishop g4, which is probably not the greatest move. White keeps on developing more pieces. Of course, d4 was under stress in this position. He goes queen f6, putting pressure here and putting pressure there. But in this position, white is so far ahead in development that this attempt is not really the best way to deal with this. Okay, well done, Kevi Java. Well done, Old Crush. Well done, Matthew. Well done, Carl. Well done, Shenwin. Well done, Colin. Well done, you one.
Yes, so
Correct, yeah. So if you got e5, this is the correct idea. taking advantage of the fact that the king is still in the center, takes on e5. And here, you need to really just develop the feel for the moves in these kind of positions. Let's see if you can spot it. Well done, Chess Dancer. Well done, WF. Well done, Sherwin. Well done, Carl. Ruan, Bogstedt. Anke. Luandi, Crazy Fish, Matthew. Okay, so yes, d takes e5 here is the correct move. Queen goes to f4. So now what do you do? No worries, Leroy. What do you do here? Well done, Nina. Yeah, a lot of people are not getting this one. Well done, Sherwin. Well done, Ewan. Yes, here. E6, very good move. Opening up the center. And okay, black takes. Now it's a question of what do we do here? Let's see. Okay, it looks like we're offline a little bit. Let's see. Just reload our page. Okay, so here we played here. Sorry, I think we went offline for a little bit. So here, what do you do? Well done, Yuan, Chess Dancer, Alan, Yanko, Luandi, Tayden. Very good. Typical ideas that, okay, when the king is stuck in the center, take on f7. He goes here. It's white to play. What do we do? Well done, Chess Dancer. Well done, Carl. Well done, Anka. Well done, E-Viewer. Well done, Captain Bet. Crazy Fish. Okay, good. So here, you take on g8, promote to a queen, and your opponent has to take Bishop a3 check, and after knight e7, what do you do? Okay, well done. Everyone who got that right. Bishop takes e7, and here black resigned. Okay, so you notice that here development, and especially quick development, is very crucial in this setup for white. Especially, he has to really push and use the raid with central pawns to attack black. So let's show another quick game. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, c3, knight f6, and d4, e takes d4, c takes d4. Now, some people make this mistake, bishop b6. Now, white has got a free hand on how to proceed here. So let's see if you can spot it. Well done, Captain Bet, Chess Dancer, Ewan, Cullen, Carl, Matthew O. Old Crush, Tayden. Yeah, okay, e5 immediately. And after knight g4, again, this knight is not so well placed here. What do you do? Well done, Luandi. Well done, Carl. Well done, Evue. You know, e5 was the first stamp. Yanko, focus. Knight goes here. Now we go for the next stamp. Whoever is whistling, mute your mic. Well done, Tayden. Well done, Shenwin. Well done, KV. Well done, Anka. Okay, so e5 was the first stamp, d5 was the next one, the knight goes to e7. Now time for another third stamp. Well done, E1, well done, Leroy, well done, Helgard, Yanko, WF, V4, KB, Maruma, Kalanman, Bogstedt, Carl. Matthew O, Chess Dancer. Okay, good. So after d6, knight goes to g6. Okay, the pawns have marched forward, causing black pieces to just scatter. Now time to develop more pieces. What do you do here? Very good. Shonny Boy, Leroy, Helgard, KB Maruma, well done. Okay, so bishop g5, f6, take on f6, gf6, queen check, and now king goes here. What do you do? Very good. Everyone should be able to get this one.